Two Swedish Gripen jets suddenly locked onto three Russian MiG-31s using Meteor missiles. The warning lights inside the Russian cockpits exploded in red. Alarms screaming, systems flashing, total chaos. The Russian pilots had no idea what was happening. Within seconds, F-35A Lightning IIs appeared out of nowhere. The MiG-31s had fallen into a perfectly built electronic trap, and the mistake that led them there would become one of Russia's biggest Air Force embarrassments in decades.
The start of the incident. It began when three Russian MiG-31 Foxhounds took off from Chkalov Air Base at high speed, climbing to 45,000 feet. They were powerful and confident. The MiG-31 can fly nearly 3 times the speed of sound and reach altitudes no Western jet can easily match. Their mission was simple: fly toward NATO airspace near Estonia and provoke a response. To make it look like a harmless navigation error, the Russian pilots turned off their transponders and entered Estonian airspace. They were laughing, calm, and proud. In their minds, this was just another test of NATO's patience. Usually, NATO jets would appear, escort them for a while, and then everyone would go home. They expected 2 F-16s from Lithuania to show up, a routine encounter. They even flew lower than normal, hoping to be seen. The pilots wanted attention. They wanted to flex the strength of Russian aviation. What they didn't know was that NATO was watching, and this time, things would play out very differently. NATO's hidden plan. In Germany, at NATO's Combined Air Operations Center, CAOC-Uedem, radar operators immediately identified the three MiG-31s as high-priority targets. But instead of launching a quick interception, the order was chillingly calm. Let them enter our airspace. This wasn't hesitation, it was strategy. NATO wanted the MiG-31s to step fully inside their zone so they could test new electronic warfare systems in real time. It was a rare opportunity to study one of Russia's most advanced jets up close. As the MiGs flew deeper over the Gulf of Finland, the Russian pilots grew cocky. 5 minutes in, then 10. No NATO fighters in sight. They joked on the radio, calling NATO afraid. Their powerful Zaslon M radars scanned wide and far. Nothing, just empty air. But what they didn't know was that NATO jets were already hunting them, silently. The invisible hunters. 80 kilometers southwest, 2 Italian F-35A Lightning IIs took off from Amari Air Base in Estonia. Flying low and completely silent, they used low probability of intercept LPI radar, impossible for Russian sensors to detect. The F-35s tracked the MiGs step by step, recording every detail: speed, altitude, and heat signature, while feeding live data to NATO command and 2 Swedish Gripen S flying farther west. The F-35s acted like digital vacuums, sucking up every electronic signal coming from the Russian aircraft: radar sweeps, communication frequencies, data link transmissions, everything. All of it was instantly analyzed by NATO intelligence centers. This was an electronic autopsy of Russia's top interceptor. The trap closes. The 2 Swedish Gripen S were flying parallel to the MiGs. Their radars were off. They didn't need them. Using Link 16, they saw what the F-35 saw. These were no ordinary Gripens. Each was loaded with Meteor missiles, a state-of-the-art air-to-air weapon that can hit targets over 200 kilometers away at speeds above Mach 4. The Gripen is famous for being small, fast, and smart, a networked killer. It doesn't fight alone. It fights as part of a digital web. When the order came from NATO command, one word: engage. Everything changed in seconds. The MiG-31 pilots suddenly saw their radar screens go crazy. Dozens of fake targets appeared. Static filled their communications. It looked like system failure, but it was NATO's electronic warfare in action. Within seconds, the Russians were blind and deaf. Then, their threat warning systems began to scream. Lock-on tones filled the cockpit. Looking out the window, the pilots saw 2 Gripens climbing fast, their wings loaded with Meteor missiles. The Swedish pilots had already locked onto all 3 MiGs simultaneously. It was a total tactical shock. The Russians couldn't react. The F-35s behind them switched from stealth observation to active targeting, completing the electronic cage. The MiGs were trapped from every side, above, below, and behind, without firing a single shot. A cold voice in the radio. Then came the voice, calm, professional, and icy. Russian fighter jets. You are inside Estonian and NATO airspace for 12 minutes. Your electronic systems are under our control. Your radars are disabled. Multiple missiles are locked on your position. You have one option: return immediately to Russian airspace. This is not a warning. This is an order. The Russian pilots froze. All their training and propaganda meant nothing now. Their advanced aircraft had become metal cages. They couldn't fight, couldn't hide, couldn't communicate. Finally, Russian ground control radioed, "Turn back immediately." Like startled birds, the 3 MiG-31s turned sharply and fled east. The Gripens escorted them until they crossed the border, while the F-35s quietly recorded the whole retreat, every movement, every transmission, every desperate attempt to contact command. Not a single shot was fired, but Russia had suffered a devastating defeat. NATO didn't just defend its skies. It proved that technology, coordination, and data sharing could overpower speed and brute force. The lessons learned. When the MiGs landed back at their base, the pilots were silent. They had learned something their commanders wouldn't admit. Russia's invincible aircraft were years behind NATO's technology. Their electronic defenses were outdated. Their speed meant nothing when the enemy could blind them before a missile was even fired. After the incident, NATO's members, Estonia, Poland, Sweden, and Germany, agreed on a new rule. Any future violation would face lethal force. Even US President Donald Trump commented, "I don't like it when that happens. Such behavior shouldn't be tolerated. If necessary, shoot them down." Could NATO really take down a MiG-31? On paper, the MiG-31 Foxhound is terrifying, flying at almost Mach 3 and reaching 80,000 feet. But its strength is also its weakness. It's not built for dogfighting. It's an interceptor designed for straight-line speed. At such high altitudes, it can't turn sharply. The air is too thin, and a hard maneuver could break its structure or stall its engines. In other words, once a missile is fired, the MiG-31 can't dodge. Its massive engines also produce intense heat, making it glow like a torch in the sky, an easy target for infrared sensors like the F-35's EOTS, or heat-seeking missiles such as the AIM-9X Sidewinder. The September 19th incident exposed another flaw: electronic vulnerability. The MiG-31's radar warning receivers and jamming systems are decades behind NATO's stealth and electronic warfare technology, so even at high altitudes, the same result would likely occur: total detection and defeat before the MiG-31 pilot even knows he's in danger. The Meteor and AMRAAM advantage. If NATO wanted to destroy a MiG-31, the weapon of choice would be the MBDA Meteor. Unlike normal missiles that burn fuel quickly, the Meteor uses a ramjet engine, drawing air to keep burning and generating thrust through most of its flight. It can climb to 80,000 feet, speed past Mach 4, and still have energy left to chase maneuvering targets. At that speed, even if a MiG-31 is flying at Mach 2.8, it's doomed. The Meteor's no-escape zone is huge, over 100 kilometers head-on. Even if the MiG tries to turn or dive, it's too big and too fast to evade. The other option, the AIM-120D-AMRAAM, is also deadly. It can hit targets over 180 kilometers away, guided by real-time updates from F-35s or AWACS aircraft. Fired in pairs, these missiles would corner a MiG-31 with no way out. The strategic outcome. Back in NATO's operations center, when the red radar icons finally disappeared from Estonian airspace, the mood wasn't relief, it was quiet satisfaction. NATO had turned a Russian provocation into a live intelligence harvest. They had mapped every weakness in the MiG-31 systems without firing a single round. The event changed everything. Estonia, Poland, and Sweden argued that NATO's old escort and warn policy only encouraged Russia to push further. They demanded tougher engagement rules, not to start a war, but to restore deterrence. Germany supported it, and within days, a new engagement protocol was approved. Now, any deliberate Russian incursion would face a clear and immediate response. No more free passes. The cost of testing NATO had officially become too high. The new reality. The September 19th event wasn't just an air incident, it was a turning point. It proved that modern warfare isn't just about who flies faster or higher, it's about who controls the network. The F-35s, Gripens, and Meteors didn't win because of raw power. They won because they fought as one brain, one system. For Russia, the message was clear. The era of safe provocations is over. Any next violation might not end with a radio warning, but with a fireball in the sky, and the loss of billions of dollars in equipment and elite pilots. The balance of power in the skies above Europe had quietly shifted, and all it took was 12 minutes to prove who truly rules the air.